All right. We're not going to talk about moving anymore because that was the last house. The house on First Avenue was the last house that I lived in with my family in Huntingburg. And then it's time to, and I kind of mentioned this, I think I mentioned a couple of times about some things about being in the Army, but now I just want to go into, I joined the Army in 1971, July 1971, as a matter of fact. I may have, so if I'm repeating something from videos where I moved before, you have to forgive me for that, please. Okay, so after Ed had come back into and graduated from high school, I was working at the bowling Hunter's Bowl in Huntingburg, Indiana. And that job, it was, you know, like I said before, I think, I don't know why they just didn't fire me because I was never on time. But for some reason, I got angry at the manager, whose name was Jerry Beach. They were supposed to send me to some type of mechanics school. I don't know exactly. I think that my job was actually supposed to be maintenance of the whole building, including the pin setters. And so, but there was some type of a pin setter, Brunswick had pin setter mechanics school. And for some reason I was interested in going to that. And he wouldn't send me for whatever reason. It kept putting me off. So I don't know. But I decided to, I didn't even know what I was doing. It was 16 lanes in Huntingburg. So, but I decided I'm going to try to go somewhere else and do what I was doing and get paid better maybe or something. So I found out there was an opening in in Bedford, Indiana. There was a 32-lane bowling center that needed somebody who was doing my job, taking care of the pin setters and was supposed to be taking care of the mechanical stuff around there. And so I went up there and applied for the job and got the job. so I don't know. I don't know what it was with these bowling centers. I guess that whatever they were paying probably wasn't very good, or otherwise why would they take me? I was like 17, 18 years old and didn't know what the hell I was doing. So, but they hired me. And so long story short, that didn't last very long. I was traveling back and forth between Huntingburg and Bedford all the time, and it didn't work. It didn't take long for that to fall apart. Me and the manager there didn't get along, and there's no reason. I mean, he was, I wasn't, I was terrible, to be honest with you. I don't know what I was thinking, what I was, doing, but I think I just did it because anger at the manager in Huntingburg, and I thought I could do better, blah, blah, I was just full of crap. And so anyway, so anyway, I come back home. I don't even know how long that lasted. It couldn't have been more than a few months at most. So came back to, I think I had some type of little bitty apartment up there or something I was staying in while I was working. So I come back home, quit that, came back home, and started, like I said, Ed Dykus had come back to town, so we started working a couple of jobs in the area. One was at the Jasper Corporation, which was the furniture factory in Jasper. First job there was putting together paper or cardboard boxes or something like that before they put you on the line. And then and then it's a furniture assembly line. You stand there and this line is coming and you do one, and they did furniture for stereo and TV stuff, So you're putting these furniture and this piece comes by and you put in a couple screws here and then it goes on to the next person and so on. You do that all day long. somewhere along there, I realized that uh, I did get a little bit of a well, something told me that, I was looking across the line one day and I saw this guy. He was probably his 40s or 50s. But at that time, I'm 18, 17, 18. I'm thinking, man, that guy is old and white. He's still working here. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. So that's the first time I had a notion. This isn't going to work. I got to do something else. And and so, but we were working there, and for the time period, we could make pretty good money. And they kept asking us to do overtime, and we did. Me and Ed did that. And then this turkey processing, I think, I don't know, Swift or something, had opened up in the Jasper, I think it was. And there were some jobs there. Me and Ed applied there. And of course, we were at the tail end of this line. They bring these birds in, slaughter them. They're hanging from these hooks and they're running. People do whatever they do. Some people do this and do that, and it's a dirty, nasty job. But by the time they get to the end, they freeze these birds, and that's where me and Ed were. Actually, he actually got the birds before they got to the turkeys before they got to the flash freezing, because he was the one who in the room that had ran the the butterball, Swift butterball. So he was doing this butterball injection into these turkeys. I don't remember how that went, but. And I was on the very end of the line, right after the turkeys are flash frozen and coming out, and they go like 4 in a box, and you cut box, and then you start stacking these on these pallets, and then you would stack them up. I don't know how high, 6 or 7 high. There's like 3 to a row and 6 or 7 high, and then you had one of these, whatever you call these things to roll them. And you'd roll them into these deep freeze. It's like 50 degrees below zero in this deep freeze. And this thing is not, this is not light, anyway, rolling those, once I stack enough up, and get enough to put them on this moving device, roller, I forget what the hell the name of it is, and then I would put that you would press a button and put them into deep freeze. My biggest fear in life was I'd get stuck in there and nobody knew I was in there and I'd freeze to death. So, and this is the time period where, and Dad, rightfully so, was like, you're not, what are you doing? Me and Ed were living in a house together. I think it was, I can't remember the street. It's a street just north of First Avenue. In an old house down there. We were splitting the rent, but Dad was not happy with me, and rightfully so. I wasn't, and just things just were going downhill, and I'd heard Wally talk about the military, the Navy, and so. Those stories he was telling, so and I think bottom line is what I just wanted to get away. I just wanted to go. Up until then, my whole life was built around, or my whole thought process. I'm going to graduate from high school. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get married. And I'm going to have this little house, and I'm going to be here in Du Bois County the rest of my life. And that'd be cool. I'll be in a little band. Me and Ed and Mike. And whoever else will play on the weekends, and I'm not, for some reason I just didn't have any goals or anything past Huntingburg. I never saw myself as anything past that. So I'm just like, my whole world is Huntingburg and Du Bois County in southern Indiana. That's it. I don't know anything else. At that time, I didn't want to go anywhere else. So, but now it's like, so this isn't working. Dad's all over me, right? And these jobs I'm working at, these aren't going anywhere. You know, you something's got to change. So, and so I'm listening to these stories. Wally coming home after he joined the Navy, and that sounded good. You know, and so maybe I can get some type of job skill or something. And so that's why I had originally applied. I went over. Ed had been in the Navy. I don't know. And that was another reason, because the whole county seemed to be Navy influenced for some reason. A lot of people from Du Bois County, Denny Lindar and Johnson, Mike and Wally, and everybody seemed to go to the Navy for some reason. And so, and like I think I probably said before, I went there and they sent me down to Louisville to get your initial testing, and I did all that, and I was ready to go. But at the last minute, I started to remember those stories that Wally was telling about the Navy. It's all really great stories. We went to this country and we went in port and we were having a good time on shore leave and stuff. But when I really started to think about it a lot, I remembered, sometimes you just remember the good things, yourself, and then what other people are telling you. But somewhere in there, he was mentioning that, they were out to sea for months, months. And I'm going, wait a minute, okay. Maybe there's something I can be in the military, but I don't know about this being out at sea for months and months. I don't know if I can do that. But one part of the story that Wally was talking about, he was stationed out, California. A lot of stories about California, and so that sounded interesting. So I went so I would go and talk to the Army recruiter, and I would tell him, I'm interested, I want a guaranteed job. Now, remember, Vietnam is not over yet, it's starting to die down, but, and I wanted a job skill sometime. And so he said, well, we got, and he said, I can get you a location, a guaranteed location, guaranteed where you'd be stationed, and a job skill. So I said, well, okay, I'm going to do something like electronics. Well, I got that, I don't remember what type of electronics it was going to be. All I know was he told me, well, I can get you that job skill and I can get you stationed at Van Nuys, California. I didn't know it was. I would later find out there's a missile base at Van Nuys, California. But it was California. And, California is huge, I don't know what I was thinking, I had no idea where Van Nuys, California. It wasn't until years later I looked up on the map and tried to figure out where Van Nuys, California. Anyway, so I said, okay, well, can you, I think I mentioned before, I just walked in there and I said, well, I already took all these tests and stuff from the Navy. I said, is there going to be any problem? And that was like, probably one of his better days of recruiting, because all the work that needed to be done was already done, really. I'd already taken the entrance test exams, and all that, which, those are good for any branch of service. So all he had to do was switch the paperwork, the Navy paper. I hadn't sworn in, so I didn't. He switched it to Army, and that was it. I'm going to go to the Army. I told Mom and Dad, and I don't think Dad thought I was going until he actually took me to the day I left. I don't think he never said any, he never told me one way or another, go or don't go. I think in some ways he was glad that I was doing something, So I think that was it. I don't think, he never mentioned to me, said anything about being scared about me joining the military. But like I said, they were still, I had a draft number, it was really high. I wasn't going to get drafted because the war, they weren't really, the draft was in place, but they really weren't taking people anymore because if they were, it was very few, and because the war was starting to die down, even, and by the following year, in August of the next year, it would be over. And so I don't remember Mom saying too much about it, and so the day came and said goodbye, and I don't know what I was thinking in my mind was going to go on, but got on a bus, went to Louisville and Fort Knox, and that and then went to Fort Knox boot camp. The first day there, I thought it didn't take 24 hours for me to think to like I made the biggest mistake. Whatever mistakes I made up to that point, this is the biggest one I've ever made. I got people yelling in my face. You find out what discipline is in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, once you're in boot camp, once you get off that bus, and the drill sergeant gets you and the rest of your buddies that just came in, you're in for a rude awakening. And I was, my eyes were wide open, I was like, what in the hell have I got myself? These people are yelling at me, I'm doing push-ups, and I'm being, so the first night, you go to the first day of induction, and you're getting all these uniforms, you're just being told to go here and there, and this stuff is being thrown at you, and you just get your clothes, you put them in a box, you're going to mail these home, and you're going to get these uniforms, and make sure you got this, and then you're going to you get in the barracks, you get assigned a bunk, and in the meantime, you're just and you're just living in. I was living in fear every minute. I didn't know. And people are being made examples of left and right. If you don't do what you're supposed to, there's push-ups here, it was like, it was like a nightmare or something, and the first night I was there, I seriously thought, I'm going AWOL. I know how to get. I'll go to the bus station. I'll just go home. I seriously thought about it. I can't tell you how serious it was. It was close. I was going to go home. I was going to go AWOL. I was going to go home. I'm going home. But I guess I fell asleep and woke up the next day and realized, okay, well, I'm here. There's nothing I can do about it. I signed this for 4 years, whatever, or 2 years or 4 years. Let's see. I think I signed up for 3 years, and so I'm just gonna do this and go on with it. Well, it didn't take long for me to. This is where a lot of things were set in my mind, and a lot of things that would follow me the rest of my life was in basic training. One of the first things was about being on time. Because when they came in, there was never a problem with me being late to anything in the Army after the first couple of days. Because they would come in, I don't know what time we were supposed to get up, like 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And God forbid, you weren't standing out there in that formation at the right time. And I remember they were god awful. They would come in at 5 o'clock and to wake you up, one drill sergeant had a bugle. They would come in with trash can lids. They would come up with everything. So I started, I think that's maybe where I got into the habit of, if we were supposed to get up at 5 o'clock, I'd automatically wake up at 10 till 5 because, I just lived in fear that, they were going to come in and do something, blow some horn or big, So it just, instilled in me, that you need to wake up on time and get going. I never had a problem with that after a couple weeks of basic training. I never had a problem with being on time. When they said the formation is at 0600, 6 o'clock in the morning, That's 5:45, 05:45 in my mind. If the formation if you're supposed to be there at 0700, 7 o'clock in the morning, that's 06:45 in my mind. Because it was made very clear from the very beginning, if you're supposed to be here at 7, that means you're there and ready to go at 7. It doesn't mean you walk up and say, I'm here at 7, or stand there and say, I'm here. No. That's not possible, right? That's not possible. You have to be there before 7 so you can be there and be for the formation, ready for the formation at 7 o'clock. Or to do whatever you're doing, the job that you're doing that day, you got to be there before that. So if you're going to be there at 7 and ready for a formation, you got to be there 10, 15 minutes before so you can all get ready to do that. Otherwise, you're not ready. You just got here. How can you be, and so, I mean, and it didn't, they would make examples out of anybody who was late. I mean, you come out of that barracks, after we're standing in a formation, your ass is in trouble, serious trouble. And not only yours, but ours, And so if that guy's late to the formation, you're all late to the formation, You're all going to do push-ups. You're all going to run an extra mile. So God forbid you were that one that was late, because the people in your platoon were going to take it out on you after they took it out on them. So that's what was instilled in me, to be on time. So that's one of the very first things the Army did to me, was be on time. Be on time. You got to be on time. There's no, you better be dead. That's the only excuse you got for not being there that I could think of. Now, do they have a good reason for that? Well, hell yeah, but you don't realize that when you're in basic training. You don't think about that. You're just thinking, well, this is nuts. But in the military, as you find out later and began to appreciate it, you can't be late. You can't be late. Companies, battalions, units of any size, whatever it is, you have to be on time. It's people's lives depend on it later on. There's something bigger than you. It's bigger. When you're going into war or battle or something, when the units have got to be there at a certain time, they got to be there at a certain time. It's vital. It's just vital. So that's why at the lowest level in the military, they instill this in you. And so that's like taking it from the smallest to the biggest, but it's really true. The military can't be late. And to this day, I consider that one of the most important things I ever got out of the military, was being on time, because I was notorious for not being on time before I joined the Army. So, okay, so I stressed that a little bit. That followed me even throughout the rest of my life, even after I left to retire from the military. So I'm in basic training, and it was pretty rough. I think I was a little overweight then, and they, we were running. I never run a mile before. We were running a mile in combat boots. I got shin splints, but I still, if you could go on sick call, you could get, I had these really, they were like in my inner ankle, these, dang, it hurt after we'd go out. We were running these boots a mile. And man, my ankles would ache and ache and ache. And I remember my buddy, his name is Black. He wasn't Black, but his name is Black. He would say, how you doing, Gentry? I'm like, man, after the run, my ankles would kill me. And he said, you need to go on sick call. I said, man, I can't do that, because you get recycled. If you went on sick call and you weren't able to stay in or keep up in training, they would take you out. Like for me, they would take me out and wait till my ankles were healed, the shin splints had gone away. But then you'd be back you have to go back in another class, and there's no way. In other words, you'd have to wait until another class, that was behind you in weeks. Like if you were there 2 or 3 weeks, then they'd back you up. They'd take you out of your class and put you into a class that was on, but you'd have to, or maybe you'd have to wait till another company caught up with you. So there's no way I wanted to be recycled. And sometimes you'd have to go back all the way back to the first week again. And there's no way I was going to do that. So I just put up with it, it just killed me, but there's no way. So those runs, I used to hate those runs because I knew what was going to happen at the end of it, but I just kept going. I wasn't going to get recycled. And a lot of guys were the same thing. They hurt here and there, but they weren't going to get recycled. They wouldn't go on sick call. And that's another thing, about, well, no. I was just going to say, sometimes people in the military, they get to the end of your military career, there's nothing in your medical record. It's because they don't, it's that type of thing that also gets instilled in you. Okay, so what? Your head or your arm hurts, your shoulder hurts, whatever. Come on, man up, let's go. And so you didn't go on sick call. You should have, but you didn't. So, and so for years later, you pay for it. But that's the type of mentality that it was, So anyway, we get through there, doing these runs, doing basic training, getting in shape, push-ups, sit-ups. You have to pass a physical training test, and 1 week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks, I think it was 8 weeks of basic training, but about the fifth week or so, 5th or 6th week, you kind of called out by then. Anybody who wasn't going to make it, is probably gone by then. They started. I remember one day we went for a formation, and they had orders. They started getting orders in. Where you're going to be signed? Where you're going? And we stand in formation. And as Bill Sergeant comes out, he's got these orders that had come in for assignments that had come in so far, and they'd call out a name. Smith, you're going. You're being assigned to Fort whatever. Jones. You're going to Fort. And finally gets to mine. Gentry. Yes, still like, you're going to Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I'm like, wait a minute. What? Why am I? What the heck is that? I'm 18. I think I turned 18 while I was maybe. I was 18. I don't know what the heck is Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And he goes, I guess I don't know if I said anything or I looked like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're gonna be a medic, son. A combat medic. And I'm going, what? Wait a minute. Medic. Vietnam is still not over, okay? Whew. How can that be? Well, I can't just say, no, that's wrong. I think I did protest it because what? A recruiter said, I'm going to be in electronics. How can I be going to Fort Sam Houston and become a medic, So that was the next week. Okay. And so I had no, the idea of me doing something medical was just like, gee, are you, you people, but you're in the Army, by that time you learn, you ain't question anything, and especially at that point, I was, it didn't, I thought, well, okay, I think maybe I settled it in my mind somewhere, okay, well, it doesn't matter anyway, because I already determined that no matter where I'm doing, no matter where I'm going, I'm going to do my time and get out. So I guess I just thought, well, maybe I'll be lucky they won't send me to Vietnam. And so, yeah, okay, I got a few weeks left, and the next thing I know, I'm going to be going to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and I'm going to combat medic training. And so that's how I became a medic. I don't know. There was something, to be a medic, you had to, your what you call your GT scores had to be high enough. And I think one was, you needed 110, I think one was 114 or something like that. So I guess I met the qualifications for being somewhere smart enough to be a medic. So at least on that category. But like I said, the sight of blood, somebody bleeding, somebody giving shots and doing all this shit, trauma. And no, what the. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but okay. And so, 2 weeks later, graduate. Dad comes down with Linda to the graduation, if I remember correctly. And next thing I know, I'm on my way to San Antonio, Texas, to become a medic. So we'll take that from there the next time. Okay, I thought I'd do a song. This isn't a song that I would have sung back at home. Oh wait, but it was because it didn't come out until like 1982, I think. It was a song by George Strait. After the divorce, okay? After the divorce, okay. I don't know how to say it either. I didn't really. I didn't. Well, country music just. It's just, well, most of the, as is true of country, for real country, it is. There's songs about heartbreak, heartache, lost loves, and a lot of it is pretty. There's some songs that can be happy, but most, people are wanting somebody, lost somebody, can't get somebody. So sad. So after the divorce, I listening to country music wasn't something I really wanted to do for a while. So I sort of stepped away from country music. As a matter of fact, I was listening to a lot of pop music, or as they would say, or rock and roll music, and so that's why I have good recollections of things like Foreigner and Journey and so forth from the 80s. I was really, up until that point, I was really listening to mostly country, but so I was like getting a reawakening into rock and roll and so forth. So I started listening to that music because it just country was just too hard for me to listen to. So I just stayed away from country music for the most part, and so stuff that was in the 80s, that's the song that I'm going to do is by George Strait. I did hear, and there was a couple songs but I didn't learn how to play that I didn't play that on a guitar until about 10 years ago. So, but if I had stayed listening to country music, during that era, that was the George Strait. He was that song. The song that I'm doing is "A Fire I Can't Put Out." But he was like early in his career, and I probably would have become a really big George Strait fan because I listened to a lot of songs that he did during that era, and a lot of them are good, really good. It's just rock solid country music, and so, but that's where. But and this song just the song just kind of hit me, well, first of all, I like the melody, and I like the song, and it just kind of hits me. So that's the last song I remember country music that I from the early 80s that I liked, but I never played it. I never learned how to play that until the first time I played that on the guitar was 2012, and we can talk about that later. But so anyway, if I had stayed playing music, country music on my guitar, that would have been a song that I would have learned, and I think I would have been a pretty big George Strait fan. So, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure this is one of the. This had to be a number one hit about 1982. So here it is. I'm finding out how hot an old flame can burn. You're a feeling I haven't forgotten, a love I can't unlearn. You become a memory I can't live without. You'll always be a fire I can't put out. I don't know how to handle the dream you left behind. Like a lighted candle burning up my mind. At least I'm happy knowing what love was all about. You'll always be a fire I can't put out. That's how it should be. You'd think by now my heart would know it could set you free. The things I've tried, the tears I've cried, I guess there's no telling. You'll always be a fire